Today, I'm sharing a true horror story from the heart of Haiti. What started as an innocent swim turned into a nightmare when two young people encountered a devilish water spirit. This supernatural entity tried to claim this girl's brother, and the fight for his life will leave you stunned. Prepare yourself for a tale of fear, bravery, and an eerie creature that will send shivers down your spine. Keep watching if you dare, and don't forget to hit the like button. I am a young woman living in Haiti. I was born and raised here, and this experience also took place here. One afternoon, my brother told me he was extremely hot and wanted to cool off by the river. He wanted to swim in the cold water, as we teenagers in the area often did to escape the oppressive heat. Even the adults did this whenever they had time. My brother Kevin wanted me to come along for company, and I didn't mind. He can swim peacefully while I read one of my books from the Bouquet series, I thought to myself. We walked toward the river around 5 p.m. and encountered my aunt, with whom we live, on the way. She asked where we were going, and we said we were going swimming. I wouldn't swim because I was on my period, so it was strictly forbidden to go into the water. This was due to cultural reasons, and because of the piranhas and aggressive fish swimming in the river. You could never know what you might attract with your blood. After a brief chat with my aunt, we continued until we reached the river. I stayed a bit away from the bridge due to my period, as I had to stay far from the water for cultural reasons. I sat neatly on the side with a good view of the bridge and the water. My brother took off his shirt and immediately jumped into the water. I focused on reading my book. Kevin said the water was wonderfully cold. Not even 5 minutes later, he screamed, "Hey, sis!" I just felt something brush past me in the water. Really, I feel something. I laughed, thinking he was just joking. Kevin was normally scared of every little thing. Either he's joking or he's exaggerating again, I thought. So, I didn't pay further attention to him, letting him enjoy the cool water. I continued reading my book. Later, my brother told me he was swimming when he suddenly felt something large brush past him in a flash. Out of fear, he didn't dare move. He also didn't dare call out to me again. He was so scared. But suddenly, he heard a soft, sweet voice calling his name behind him. The voice was warm and inviting. Kevin was startled. Who was calling his name out of nowhere? The voice was unfamiliar. And how did the person know his name? Reflexively, he turned around to see who was calling him. He found himself face to face with a girl, a very beautiful girl with very pale skin, almost sickly pale, as if she had a severe lack of sun. She had jet black hair and beautiful, large, almond-shaped eyes. Her head was initially partially out of the water, and when Kevin saw her and was shocked, she quickly brought her whole head above water and said with a broad smile, "Don't be scared. I won't hurt you. Don't be afraid. I really like you. You're a very nice boy." My brother then felt a strange but very satisfying calm come over him. He had the urge to get to know the mysterious girl. He couldn't describe it, but he seemed to fall in love despite only just meeting her. He and the girl talked for a long time, laughing and giggling together. This was likely due to her magical influences or supernatural powers, because Kevin was in a sort of daze at that moment, as if it were a dream. The girl was a devilish water spirit, for which thunders camp, is very well known. Everyone who lived there knows that they, devilish water spirits, visit often. And it's no fairy tale or fabrication. They truly exist. Under normal circumstances, my brother would never have been so calm and relaxed, talking and flirting with a devilish water spirit. He was clearly not himself. She was playing with his emotions. As I mentioned before, my brother is a scaredy cat, especially when it comes to strange things. Our family had always warned us about such strange occurrences around the camp, because over the years, so many inexplicable things had happened at Thunder's camp. I was so engrossed in my book that I didn't pay attention to my brother for the 10-15 minutes that passed. But it was so quiet, and I suddenly had a feeling to go check on my brother. When I walked over, I was horrified to see him just going under. I hurried to the bridge where he was. I saw him just below the surface, kissing a pale girl. I immediately knew she wasn't from Haiti, and that she must be a devilish water spirit. I just knew it right away. Her skin was too pale to be an ordinary person. I had never seen a devilish water spirit before, but I had heard many stories from people, elders, and fishermen from the camp. But now that I saw it, I knew it somehow immediately. My intuition was on point. There was also no one around when we arrived at the water, so I knew this wasn't a normal girl. If she had walked up, I would have seen her, and in the camp, everyone knew each other. It was clear to me that this was no human. I panicked, wondering what she would do to my brother. I looked around frantically for someone to call for help, but I saw no one and felt like bursting into tears. I put my hands in the water and started splashing like a madwoman, trying to disturb her and hopefully make her let go of my brother. It seemed to work because she suddenly looked in my direction with a startled and simultaneously angry look. I got goosebumps all over my body when she looked at me. Her eyes were jet black. It felt like I was looking into the eyes of the devil. I don't know if her eyes were always like that, or if she was trying to scare me by making them black. But they were certainly terrifying to see. From the shock, she let go of my brother and quickly swam a short distance away, about 2 meters from my brother. She then surfaced halfway and looked at me. I don't know what she wanted. Kevin came to the surface, looking around innocently, as if he had no idea what had just happened to him. He was surprised to see me by the bridge and began to laugh. "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be near the water," he said. He hadn't even finished speaking when I saw panic in his eyes. He screamed in agony, revealing that the devilish water spirit was gripping his ankles, pulling him forcefully towards the depths. "Help me! Help me! Someone is pulling my ankles. Hold me tight," he screamed, stretching his hands towards me in panic. I grabbed him with all the strength I had and began to pray loudly. I also started cursing. "Let him go. Let him go, you demon. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. Let him go, right now." I don't know what else I said, but I sounded like a priest in a church. The words flowed from my mouth like a waterfall as I kept pulling my brother's hands with all my might. I would never let go. I had no idea if prayer was the right approach for such beings, but out of panic, I began calling upon God's name. Meanwhile, I fought with every ounce of strength to hold on to my brother and pull him towards me. He fought just as hard to avoid being dragged away, kicking and thrashing his legs. Eventually, we managed to break free from the creature's grip, and Kevin emerged from the water, gasping, choking, and with red eyes. The devilish water spirit suddenly gave up, releasing him, and disappeared without a trace. Perhaps our loud screams had startled her, fearing that the entire village would come running for help, or maybe my prayers had worked. I have no idea. The important thing was that she let go of my brother. I began to cry too, trembling all over, just like my brother. He seemed confused, not fully comprehending what had just happened. It had been a fierce battle to free him, and I can't describe it with words. I had just witnessed my brother nearly die, right before my eyes, and had never felt so helpless. But I was glad that in the end, I didn't give up and gave my all to save him and not let go. I was truly grateful to God for being our salvation and that I still had my brother by my side. Let's get away from this bridge quickly, because that thing might come back to drag you into the water again. These creatures are tricky. She might still be lurking around here, I said. We ran quickly, as far away from the water as possible. When we stopped to catch our breath and let everything sink in, we saw that Kevin's ankles were completely bruised and battered, as if someone had beaten and tortured him. We rushed home after this incident. But once we got home, our aunt was not there to tell her everything. Kevin felt extremely tired, as if he had run a marathon. He wanted to go straight to sleep because he couldn't keep his eyes open. But I insisted he shower first because he couldn't just go to bed like that. Later, when my aunt came home, I told her the whole story. She was naturally shocked, but she knew that such things happened more often at the camp. Everyone talked about it because strange things happened regularly on the water or in the forest. Aunt prayed with me and gave me some tips to be extra careful. She couldn't do much more because these things are just there and no one can remove them. They are also part of nature and the spiritual world, and we just must learn to live with them. We just hope that they leave us alone because we leave them alone too, she said. The next morning when Kevin woke up, he told me that the devilish water spirit had been in his dreams, saying, "Kevin, your sister was unclean, and yet she came to the water. Why does she want to pollute our living environment? I don't appreciate that, and I really didn't like her disturbing us. You are mine, and I want to make you mine. Come back to the water because I think we will have fun together." My brother could then remember more about his encounter with the devilish water spirit. Because when he first came out of the water, he seemed completely confused. We didn't have any more trouble from the devilish water spirit because an elderly man from the village gave us a cultural bath, a sort of offering to the water, to ensure that we would be left alone by the water creatures, because the water has multiple spiritual beings living in it, so that cultural bath was necessary. Since this event, we have been very careful when we go to the river, and there are always adults with us. So far, everything has gone well, and we hope it stays that way. But every now and then, Kevin has dreams where the devilish water spirit calls to him, whispering that he belongs to her and should return to the water. Each time, he wakes up in a cold sweat, and we are reminded that she is still out there, waiting for her chance to strike again. We try to stay away from the water as much as possible, always wary, always alert, because we know she hasn't given up on claiming my brother.